Good morning, guys. So, in this video, we will be talking about the server-side events, the feature which has been introduced by Microsoft in .NET 10. So, when we are trying to build any applications which needs the server-side real-time data updates from the server side, real-time data update the client. Earlier, we used to totally rely on the WebSockets or the polling mechanism. And with that, what we used to do is that from the client, we used to subscribe to the socket. And over the socket, whatever the data emission takes place from the server, the client was subscribing to that. And then whatever the received data, the client was updating that data on the UI. Typical real-time example that we can take, which could be a share market stock report, status change, or weather updates, or any type of live data feeds which clients need. So the ultimate solution that we had is the socket programming. Yes, with the .NET, we have been provided with SignalR, and SignalR actually have given or offered quite a great feature for building the real-time apps. But with the .NET now, what is the new offering with the server-side events? So this provide a native lightweight way for servers to push real-time updates to clients, and that too over standard HTTP protocol. Imagine we don't need any WS colon, or we don't need anything like that. What the standard HTTP is being used as a transport for this, right? So something changed on the server side, and then those changes, those data updates will be pushed to the client over HTTP. This is really ideal for applications where we want to keep pushing the notification to the client, or some dashboard data updates to the client, or some live feeds. So, what SSE does, or the server side event does, is that it offers a very simple alternative to the WebSockets when we only want to go for the one-way communication. Now, this is a key point into that. Why I'm calling this as a one-way communication, because you know that with the socket we do have bidirectional communication. Of course, that is required in some cases, but if at all we just want to have a one-way communication just from the server to the client, then why to go for the socket? Why to use a SignalR, a simple server-side events that basically does the job? So in this demo, I'm going to show you how we are going to implement the server-side event with the .NET 10. I have used ASP.NET Core API here, and to explain the code, I have basically made the application ready, which will produce the output like this. Now, this is my region chart here, real-time region sales chart, okay, which is going to get the data from the various regions of the country, north, south, east, west, and then the data is getting updated. Now, one thing that I would like to do is that if I take you to F12 over here and take you to the networks, and let me refresh here. Okay, so it says that like uh, okay, fine. So I'm gonna just stop this at this moment, and then let me run this here again. Okay, so now going to go back, right? So running this. So I have used the task delay over there. Fine, that's not a problem here. But you see that there is no WebSocket stuff here. Everything is happening over the HTTP protocol. You see that. Okay, so data is continuously getting pushed after the delay, and accordingly, my updates are taking place on the UI. no socket registration as such directly. Okay, everything over HTTP. So what's the use of that, or what exactly it is? So let me take you back to the README here. Okay, and here I have put this entire explanation in very simple notes. So this was introduced as a part of .NET 10, and the major motive behind the server-side event is to implement a streamlining way to push the real-time updates from server to the client using a very simpler, lighter HTTP protocol than making a use of the complex web sockets, or even avoiding the use of the signaler. So the advantage here is that, like, we are not going to go for any complex coding for WebSocket programming or a signaler programming. And this offers a unidirectional continuous stream of data from server to the client over here. This is also suitable for long-live HTTP connection. The client is connecting to the server, the connection is very much live, and then something takes place on the server, it's been updated to the browser or to the client. The key characteristics which are offered by the server-side event is that it is offering one-way communication only from server to the browser, and that's why it is unidirectional. Okay, so it's pure from server to the client. So client is gonna subscribe, or client is gonna run once, and then over that long live HTTP communication, whatever takes place on the server side, it will be sent to the browser. Uses the persistent HTTP connection, no WebSocket, as I already told you. It has the automatic reconnection handled by the browser, and really lightweight than the WebSockets and Signal. So this is highly suitable for the application like stock market applications, order tracking application, managing the order delivery, where you are going to track the movement of the delivery guy. For example, here like in India, we use Zomato or Swiggy, right, or even Ola, Uber, cab, and then it provides us a real-time tracking of the movement of that vehicle, right? So the Ola vehicle is moving, or the delivery guy is actually following some route and trying to reach to a place, and it even gives us the time duration that, or expected time, that by what, like like when he will be reaching to your place for the delivery, like that. Even this is good for a background job processes. So a very small comparison that I have here with the direction protocol complexity and use cases. So comparison with the server side, comparison of the server side event with the WebSocket is that where the WebSockets are bidirectional, the server side events are from server to client only, unidirectional. WebSocket makes a use of the custom WebSocket protocol over here. So this makes a use of WS://, whereas with the server side events, standard HTTP. Now, one of the most important thing over here is about the complexity of the code. Now, let me tell you that in my career, so many years of my career, I have worked on various types of applications, and uh, specific to the apps where I was supposed to provide the real-time data to the client, I was having, so naturally as a true .NET developer, okay, I was always suggesting the Signal solutions to my customers, and then I have actually come up with lot many solutions like that. So if you go to my website like HTTPS or here, or I like to put that here, HTTPS:// right, www.webnethelper.com. Right here, I have added a couple of examples for Signal. Okay, so that end up with kind of a complex code, right? Of course, that varies dependent on your requirement. But if at all you are going to go for the bidirectional data communication, then in that case, Signaler is better. But if not, so in my case, where I have worked with one of the customer where I was supposed to show only the transaction status for the transaction status for the number of records which are actually getting added into the MongoDB. And like, of course, it was having lot many detailings. Of course, I can't tell you that, but let me tell you here that like I have used a Signaler for that. But now this has been uh, managed pretty easily with the very simple coding using the server side event here. No more complex stuff. One of the important thing is that since the .NET 10 has a native support for the server-side events with ASP.NET Core Minimal API, as well as with API controllers, you do not need any extra package. So here, I must say that no extra package, right? Unlike with the Signaler, we need to do that, but now it is not. Okay. So that's why this is pretty simple. This is pretty easy to use. And one of the nicer thing here is that, okay, this has a very simpler mechanism here is that the server uh, stream events using the text slash event stream bind type. Okay, so the data will be streamed over text event. Okay, and the client is going to consume this via event source. So I'll say that client will consume the event over the event source. That's the beauty of it. Right. Event source, this is the API in JavaScript. Right. That's what is going to happen. Right. So from the server to client, the data will be sent or it will be streamed to the client or the text slash event stream mine type, and the client is going to consume this with event source. So that's the thing here. The type of coding efforts are very simple without any extra package. So the thing is that this is available to us as a production ready, right? And we can build the scalable solutions with the help of this server side events altogether. Okay, so that's the thing. So we can have the scalability uh, with this. So where even you are having load balancer with since we are using HTTP with a very large scale application, we go for the load balancer. So even if you have load balancer, it's gonna work perfectly all right. Uh, now the boundary for this we can call a very sweet word over here called as limitation. So this is purely from server to client. So if you are trying to have the client to server messaging, sorry, this is not applicable or it's not available, right? No client to server messaging. So if at all you want to go for client to server messaging, then best way you should go for Signaler or the WebSocket. Okay, that's the thing. This is really better for the performance. It's high performant object. So the use cases is that here you can, as I already told you, that like stock tickets or tracking, IoT telemetry information for such type of application like IoT device monitoring for sale. You can actually make a use of this. Okay. Now this is what my ASP.NET Core application that I do have here, and see there is no separate package that I have used. Now you know that like with Visual Studio 2022, which I'm using right now, I don't have I have .NET 10, but Visual Studio 2022 doesn't allow us to create or it doesn't provide the template. .NET 10 template is not available. So what you have to do is that you have to create the .NET 9 project. So here I have created ASP.NET Core API 9 project, and then I have changed the target framework over here to .NET 10.0. Alternatively, what you can do is you can go for Visual Studio 2026, which is recently released, and that offers us a .NET 10 templates. Okay, so you can do that. So here I have used a .NET ASP.NET Core 9 application, and then it's been targeted to .NET 10 right now. Apart from that, there is no separate package I do have. Okay, and now let me directly take you to the program.cs. So this is what my program.cs is. And here I do have the endpoint, right? Where what I have done is that, like, I have defined the logic over here, where I'm having a simple randomly generated code here. Since this is for the sake of conceptualization, what you can actually do over here is that here you can go for calls to database to read data, right? Or okay, any other real-time access. So here I'm simply using a very random set of code here. I'm generating some randomly defined numbers. So I will look over here is that I have an array with region, north, south, east, west. I have defined the random here. Okay. And this is what my minimal endpoint is hyphen stream here, and then I have defined the header types. So content type is text slash event stream, the my type for streaming the data from server to the client. I'm doing no cache, and then I'm saying the connection is keep alive. So that's what the thing is. So server stop, and again you restart, connection is going to take place. Okay, that's what the thing is. And then this is what my logic is. So I have created some randomly generated sales numbers, right? So region.to dictionary, and then this is my randomly generated number. So what I'm actually going to have over here is that, like, it's going to provide me the randomly generated sales data for each of my region, north, south, east, west, and then this data will be serialized right to the client by writing this into my response. So see here that I have used context.response.write AC. Now what is this context object? This is my HTTP context object. As you know that in ASP.NET Core, HTTP context is one of the most important object that we have. It has access to the request as well as responses, right? So we can decorate or we can well manage our response with the help of the HTTP context object, and that's what that I'm doing. I'm adding my headers with the text event stream, no cache, keep alive, and then I'm adding the data in the form of JSON. So whatever that my data is, okay, that data I'm adding it over here. So I'm generating this random value for each second here. That's what that I'm doing it. So no additional code, nothing, no complexity of my socket here or the signal R. It's a very, very, very simple native supported code. Okay, right. Only thing is, this is what is really important. You have to have the content type is text slash event string. Now let me go up here, and since I'm gonna consume this with the uh, with my React application, I have added the cross-origin resource sharing, the CORS policy for any header, any method, any origin. Okay, that's what that I have done here. I've added it in service, and hence I am also having the CORS that is been added into the middleware. Okay, so that's what the thing is. So again, here I have defined some region, and then this is what my endpoint. Okay, right. This is what my endpoint, and this endpoint actually have the response header for the text event stream, and then this is what my logic is. I already told you that since this is for the sake of the demonstration purpose, I have uh, randomly generated some values and they are written into my body, response body. Okay, that's what the thing is. Now, the text slash event stream, this is what the mine type, which is saying that, okay, the data will be streamed. And now to this, I have to have the subscription from my client application. So I do have the Angular client, sorry, not Angular, I'm sorry, the React client. And in this React client, I am using the Axios, of course, and I'm using the chart.js. Okay. Uh, Axios for HTTP calls, of course, and the chart.js is for the for drawing the chart. Okay, so let me right click on this and close all my open tabs. And now what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to take you to the sales service. Okay, right. Uh, Rather directly, I'll take you to the chart here. Okay, so this is what my chart, this is what my React component is. So I'm making a use of the use effect and use state, and I'm importing the bar chart right from React chart JS2, and these are my chart objects which I'm getting it from chart.js, and they are being registered over here. Okay, very typical coding. You can use Angular or maybe you can use Blazor component. So my component is the sales chart component, which has the initial values in my object north, south, east, west. Values are 0. And in my use effect, this is what is the consumption, right? Consumption to the of the server side events for the real-time updates. So I'm using event source. Interface in a web content interface for the server side event. It's JavaScript object. Okay, it's a JavaScript object. Okay, now some important information here is that uh, where this event source is been available. So let me tell you over here is that the purpose of this event source is to basically used by browsers. Okay, event source is used by browsers to listen, right, events which are being received from the server over HTTP, right, over HTTP. So now the question arises over here is that how does it works? So basically the client creates a request. Okay, the client sends a request to the server to establish the server side event connection, right, using the event source object, right, using the event source object. Okay, now what is going to happen over here is that very important is uh, the browser here automatically opens the persistent HTTP connection. Okay, automatic opens the persistent connection. Then the server keep the connection open and keep sending the events. Okay, so what happens is that the server is been opened by the connection is been opened by the server, and then what it is gonna do is that it is gonna stream data updates as events. Okay, as events occur to client. That's what the thing is. And then finally, client listen to these events and process them in the real time. So whatever the data that has been received, it's been processed by the client. So here I do have an event source object. Okay, and I'm passing the HTTP endpoint to that, and this I'm writing it into the use effects. So what do we have? The next thing over here is that like here event source dot on message, right? So on message, this is what actually event which has been thrown when the data is been received here, and the moment this data is been received, this data is been updated into my state property. Okay, that's what the thing is. If error occurs, error and then otherwise you close the connection. So this is what that we are doing it into the use effect here. Okay, so event source, passing the URL, or I should say endpoint for the API, and then with the help of on message event, you should subscribe or consume the data. Now the next thing is that I want to update this data to my chart. So this is what my chart object. So I do have the data which is showing me uh, the the data in the form of dictionary. I have north, south, east, west. These are what my keys, and then I'm going to have some randomly generated data. Okay, so based upon those keys, my values on the x-axis will be defined here. Okay, that's what it is: north, south, east, west. And then the data set, I do have label region sells India. So this is what the region sells India. I have this label, and then I have object dot value cell. So whatever the data that has been received, right, the values will be received from that. So if I take you back to the console over here, rather, I must say that let me go to the network here, and then here this is what the data is. So I have north, south, east, west, and then they are its corresponding values. Okay. So based upon those values, charts are being displayed over there. This I want to specify in the form of the animations over here. So the animation is being set, right? And the y-axis information will begin from 0 here. So here, this will begin from 0, and it's been continuously getting changed based upon max randomly generated number that has been received from the server, and whatever is been consumed by the client. So here it is, and then that will be displayed here. So the chart data is what my data, okay, here, and then this is my options to have more responsive behavior, and it's gonna keep changing, right, in the animated format. That's what the thing is. So we are not making a use of any socket, web socket. We are not using Signal R, just with a simple native coding with a text slash event stream mine type from the server side and from the client side. With the help of event source object with the JavaScript, we are having the application, we are having the server side event real time application that has been set. Okay, uh, that's what the thing is. So .NET 10 have come up with several new features, right? We can make a use of them to basically get the